chapters 13 and 14 of John Barleycorn, or Alcoholic Memoirs, by Jack London. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Chapter 13. So I left Benicia, where John Barleycorn had nearly got me, and ranged wider afield in pursuit of the whisper from the back of life to come and find. And wherever I ranged, the way lay along alcohol-drenched roads. Men still congregated in saloons. They were the poor man's clubs, and they were the only clubs to which I had access. I could get acquainted in saloons. I could go into a saloon and talk with any man. In the strange towns and cities I wandered through, the only place for me to go was the saloon. I was no longer a stranger in any town the moment I had entered a saloon. And right here, let me break in with experiences no later than last year. I harnessed 4 horses to a light trap, took Charmian along, and drove for 3 months and a half over the wildest mountain parts of California and Oregon. Each morning I did my regular day's work of writing fiction. That completed, I drove on through the middle of the day and the afternoon to the next stop. But the irregularity of occurrence of stopping places, coupled with widely varying road conditions, made it necessary to plan, the day before, each day's drive and my work. I must know when I was to start driving in order to start writing in time to finish my day's output. Thus, on occasion, when the drive was to be long, I would be up and at my writing by 5 in the morning. On easier driving days, I might not start writing till 9 o'clock. But how to plan? As soon as I arrived in a town and put the horses up, on the way from the stable to the hotel, I dropped into the saloons. First thing, a drink. Oh, I wanted the drink. But also, it must not be forgotten that, because of wanting to know things, it was in this very way I had learned to want a drink. Well, the first thing, a drink. Have something yourself, to the barkeeper. And then, as we drink, my opening query about roads and stopping places on ahead. Let me see, the barkeeper will say. There's the road across Tarwater Divide. That used to be good. I was over it 3 years ago, but it was blocked this spring. Say, I'll tell you what, I'll ask Jerry. And the barkeeper turns and addresses some man sitting at a table or leaning against the bar further along, and who may be Jerry or Tom or Bill. Say, Jerry, how about the Tarwater Road? You was down to Wilkins last week. And while Bill or Jerry or Tom is beginning to unlimber his thinking and speaking apparatus, I suggested that he join us in the drink. Then discussions arise about the advisability of this road or that, what the best stopping places may be, what running time I may expect to make, where the best trout streams are, and so forth, in which other men join, and which are punctuated with more drinks. 2 or 3 more saloons, and I accumulate a warm jingle and come pretty close to knowing everybody in town, all about the town, and a fair deal about the surrounding country. I know the lawyers, editors, businessmen, local politicians, and the visiting ranchers, hunters, and miners, so that by evening, when Charmian and I stroll down the main street and back, she is astounded by the number of new acquaintances in that totally strange town. And thus is demonstrated a service John Barleycorn renders, a service by which he increases his power over men. And all over the world, wherever I have gone, during all the years, it has been the same. It may be a cabaret in the Latin Quarter, a cafe in some obscure Italian village, a boozing ken in Sailor Town, and it may be up at the club over scotch and soda. But always it will be where John Barleycorn makes fellowship that I get immediately in touch and meet and know. And in the good days coming, when John Barleycorn will have been banished out of existence along with the other barbarisms, some other institution that the saloon will have to obtain, some other congregating place of men where strange men and stranger men may get in touch and meet and know. But to return to my narrative. When I turned my back on Benicia, my way led through saloons. I had developed no moral theories against drinking, and I disliked as much as ever the taste of the stuff. But I had grown respectfully suspicious of John Barleycorn. I could not forget that trick he had played on me who did not want to die. So I continued to drink, and to keep a sharp eye on John Barleycorn, resolved to resist all future suggestions of self-destruction. In strange towns, I made immediate acquaintances in the saloons. When I hoboed and had the price of a bed, a saloon was the only place that would receive me and give me a chair by the fire. I could go into a saloon and wash up, brush my clothes, and comb my hair. And saloons were always so damnably convenient. They were everywhere in my Western country. I couldn't go into the dwellings of strangers that way. Their doors were not open to me. No seats were there for me by their fires. Also, churches and preachers I had never known. And from what I didn't know, I was not attracted toward them. Besides, there was no glamour about them, no haze of romance, no promise of adventure. They were the sort with whom things never happened. They lived and remained always in the one place, creatures of order and system, narrow, limited, restrained. They were without greatness, without imagination, without camaraderie. It was the good fellows, easy and genial, daring, and on occasion mad, that I wanted to know. The fellows, generous-hearted and handed, and not rabbit-hearted. And here is another complaint I bring against John Barleycorn. It is these good fellows that he gets, the fellows with the fire and the go in them, who have bigness and warmness and the best of the human weaknesses. And John Barleycorn puts out the fire and soddens the agility, and, when he does not more immediately kill them or make maniacs of them, he coarsens and grossens them, twists and malforms them out of the original goodness and fineness of their natures. Oh, and I speak out of later knowledge. Heaven defend me from the most of the average run of male humans who are not good fellows, the ones cold of heart and cold of head, who don't smoke, drink, or swear, or do much of anything else that is brave and resentful and stinging, because in their feeble fibres there has never been the stir and prod of life to well over its boundaries and be devilish